guys, and happy International Scrapbook Day. I'm so excited to share a fun challenge with you today. So this is for the Hip Kit Club, but you can use whatever you have. You don't have to use a hip kit. I happen to be using some stuff from my April 2020 hip kits, but here's my challenge, and this is a little bit tricky to explain, I guess, but what I want you to do is choose 4 pattern papers that you love, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut these up into random sizes. And sometimes the hard thing about using a paper is cutting into it. This is something I learned from Shamel, but once you cut your papers up, it just feels like they're easier to use. And so here's my challenge to you, is to cut up 3 to 4, you could do less if you want to, 3 to 4 pattern papers, and we're just going to cut right into them. And then we're going to create some layouts. So I'm going to go through the process of one layout here, but I may create additional layouts and post them at the end of the video. But I wanted to show you the papers that I'm using, and I am making sure that I can use these papers together somehow. So I have these 4 papers. This one is from Cartabella, and then these 3 are from the Crepe Paper Sweet Story collection. This works really great if you have papers from a certain collection because you know they'll go together, but I like to mix things up as well. And then those are the back sides, so some simpler patterns there. So these will be nice to mix and match fronts and backs. Sometimes the hard part about using a paper is trying to decide which side to use, so this is going to cure that as well. Now, if you are a subscriber to the Hip Kit Club and you happen to get the pattern paper add-on, you get 2 of each paper. So you can use 1 set of paper and cut it up this way and save 1 set of paper to use, you know, however you see fit. But I think this is a really fun way to do this. I also have 2 papers that I have already cut into that I might end up just throwing in with these after I cut these up. If you don't want to cut into new papers, you can do the same kind of thing with scraps, but I feel like what my challenge to you really is to try to cut into some papers, and we're going to use them the sizes that we cut them at. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get out my trimmer and just start chopping these up, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing as I go.
Okay, so a few things to note about cutting up papers like this. First of all, think about how you would use the paper. Now, these hot air balloons, I would either fussy cut them or probably use a big strip of them. So I cut 1 big piece that I could use as a strip, and then I cut 2 smaller pieces that I could use to fussy cut or use as a layer. And this paper with the polka dots, I'm just cutting it into 1 that could be a large photo mat and then some smaller strips. This paper, I wanted to make sure that I could have some of both colors of stripes on 1 piece and then some smaller layering pieces. And here's another thing that you might want to think about as well is, do you use large pieces of paper? Do you like large sizes of pattern paper scraps on your layouts, or do you prefer like when you look through your layouts, do you have mostly, like, do you like a lot of white space and there's just small amounts of pattern paper? That's something you're going to want to think about when you're cutting up your papers, because if you mostly use smaller pieces, you may want to cut smaller pieces in the first place. So just something to think about. This layout that I am creating right now has larger pieces of the patterns on it, but I'm going to share a layout at the end of this video that uses some of the smaller pieces. So just do whatever works more for your style. So I am going to use a white piece of cardstock for my background, and I am also adding a white photo mat to my photos. So these are 3 photos of my daughter. She had a tea party over FaceTime with her cousins the other day, and it was just so cute. And so I took a few pictures of her doing that. She was sitting outside all set up on her table with tea, and she has these cute little tea sets, really nice actually, and she was drinking who knows what out of them. I don't think she actually had tea. I think she had like juice and chocolate milk or something. But anyway, so I'm just kind of playing with these. There are 3 photos, and one of them she's actually drinking the tea. One of them you can kind of see her cousins and the table a little bit more. And one of them, you can kind of see the side of her face smiling. So I wanted to use all 3 of them. And I am using a large piece of that floral pattern. I kind of figured I would either use it as a large strip or fussy cut it. I think that's how I like to use florals mostly. And so I decided to use it as a large strip here. And now I'm trying to decide what I want to use for my other layers. So I did use one long strip of that light peachy polka dot paper, and that's going to just be a border next to that long floral strip. And I decided to use that yellow stripe as the layer behind my photos. And now I am going to get to kind of deciding what I want to use for my title and embellishment. And I'm going to tell you right now, I go all out on this layout. There's a lot of pattern going on. There's a lot of layers. There's a lot of embellishment. And sometimes that's how I like to do things. The other layout that I share at the end of the video is pretty opposite of this one. It has a lot less and a lot more breathing space. So again, just wanted to show 2 different kinds of ways of doing this. So usually I use a piece of wax paper and put all my stickers on it and stuff like that. But right now I'm just kind of like laying them out, and I'm choosing various pieces from the chipboard and the stickers from both the Sweet Story collection and the Cartabella collection, which I cannot remember the name of right now, but it's that one that I'm pulling stickers off that sheet right there. And it's just a really, I love that floral. It's just really gorgeous. I used one of the little floral jars and stuck it on top of, there's like a little platter, it kind of looks like a cake stand, and I put the floral jar on top of it. I just thought that felt like it would be at a tea party, so I just decided to add it. And then I'm also going to use these little pieces that, there's sugar packets, and there's lemons, and I thought, if those are hard things for you to use, a tea party is perfect for them. So I pulled those out, and I'm going to use those. I'm looking through the 3x4 cards, and I don't think I end up using any of these, but I pulled out a couple that I thought I might. I thought I might use that word April, but I do not. So they're just going to sit there and go away. So I have pulled out some wax paper now, and I put all of my stickers on them while I get this stuff glued down. And so I'm just putting down those layers, and what you see my arm doing, I have my sewing machine off to the side of me, so I'm just stitching down, just, you can't see it really in the video, but I just stitched along the edge of that floral pattern. And I'm going to kind of tuck this striped pattern underneath those borders a little bit and start assembling the layout. So my photos have a lot of green in them because of the grass, and there's a lot of dandelions in my grass. I debated about whether I should even take a picture, which is stupid, right? Like, I'm thinking about how our yard needs to be mowed and there's dandelions everywhere. We haven't taken care of our yard this year, and so it just doesn't look its best right now. And so I thought of not even taking photos of this, but then I thought that is ridiculous because I want to remember this. So who cares that we had dandelions all over our backyard and that our grass is out of control? I'm just going to enjoy this moment, right? So anyway, just a little train of thought I had. So now I'm putting my title above my photo, and you can see that the Y hangs off the edge. That bothers me, and I'm going to use a floral sticker to kind of like make it look like it's not going to fall off the edge there. So I used one of the floral stickers that matches the paper, and I'm going to add those little sugar packets beneath the floral, and I'm going to add kind of 2 lines of embellishment, which is kind of weird for me. I added that little sweetest tab there, and so you can kind of see there's a line of embellishment happening along the right hand side of the photos, and now I'm going to build some stuff on the left hand side. Then I'm just going to keep adding more and more and more stuff. So at this point I'm thinking I might take another one of these papers that I cut up, and I told you that I might fussy cut some things from some of these papers, and so I've decided to dedicate this particular paper to die cutting stuff out of, and I wanted to cut the word FaceTime out because it's not just a normal tea party. They're doing it over FaceTime because of the social distancing that's happening right now, and so I thought that was an important part to include in my title. So I'm adding some double-sided adhesive behind my little piece of paper there, just so that when I cut out these itty-bitty letters, I'm using my favorite Tim Holtz typewriter dies here. I've used them in the past 3 videos I've made probably. I just love them. And I'm cutting out the word FaceTime, or the letters to spell the word FaceTime anyway. And the awesome thing about those letters, they're so tiny, but it comes with several of each letter so that you can cut them all at once, which is nice. And so I put the adhesive on the back of these so that I could peel them off and just adhere them like a sticker. It's much easier that way than it is kind of fussing with some glue. So I'm doing it that way. But I've also used, in the past, I've used a quickie glue pen, and that works pretty well too. This is just easier. So I've got that down, and that brings in a bit of that kind of reddish color. And now I'm going to add more embellishment. So I liked this little circle that says Dream Big from the Maggie Holmes die cuts. I'm going to move that floral piece around on the layout several times, but it will end up somewhere eventually. So now I'm trying to figure out where I want to put that floral that's on the cake stand, and I'm going to tuck it next to the photo on the right, kind of in that space where that tab is, and I like the way that looks. I also knew I wanted to add some butterflies, so I'm going to kind of play around with those quite a lot. And I actually really like the way the butterfly is looking at the bottom right now, but I don't end up keeping it there. I wanted to add a hot air balloon just because it's whimsical, and I feel like tea parties can be whimsical as well, and so I just decided to put that next to the word tea party. So it's kind of weird the way I'm embellishing. I have kind of embellishment on either side of the photos, but I don't know, it's working for me, and I just kept piling stuff on, and I was just having fun doing it, and that's kind of the most important thing, right? So is having fun and telling the story. So I've got both of those things covered. So I'm playing around with more florals. I know I have a ton of floral going on with that huge bit of pattern paper, but I'm also feeling like I have 2 other floral pieces. Do I need a third? And so I'm thinking about that this whole time. I put the little bird above the camera that I ended up placing right above the title, and I like the way it fills that space. And I'm going to put this butterfly overlapping the sugar. There are 2 things that say sugar, so I don't feel like you really need to see both of them clearly. And I was just holding that down while it dried. I love these little pieces that say sweet. They're little die cuts that you can rip apart, and there are like 5 of them. So I've been using them here and there on different projects. And I'm going to use the lemon because, again, it's a tea party and you put lemon in your tea, so I figured that was a good use for it. I kind of felt like the leaf, like I couldn't figure out how to angle it, and so when I tucked it under the camera, it felt like that's how it should be. I'm also going to use this little frame. I cut it in half, and I'm going to use it underneath my photos there, and I'm going to use it as a house for my journaling. A home. I'm still trying to figure out what I can do to add some sort of butterfly or something more over on the left side. It's hard because it's so busy over there, but I do end up adding one of these layered butterflies, and I'm going to add the teal one, and it pops enough against the florals that I think it really works. So I was trying to think if I wanted to put something in the middle of that bow that I ended up adding to the hot air balloon, but nothing was quite looking right, so I just keep moving things around and taking things off. I found a place for that little floral piece next to the word sweet, and I'm going to add a tiny little floral sticker next to it with that red, so then I feel like I've added in enough of those floral pieces. I'm going to write my journaling in this little space here, And I thought about typing it up because I am writing on a striped background, but it's very easily legible, and so I was feeling lazy, if we're being honest. So I'm just trying to decide if there's anything else I want to add, and I decide to go ahead and add some enamel dots. So I added one to the center of the camera. I'm going to add 3 down here at the bottom, and I'll add some more somewhere. I can't remember where. I think I add a couple more stickers here. I wanted to add this word sunshine, and then I think I add another word sticker. Yeah, that little teal one. And I know I add something else. At this very second, I'm forgetting what it is, but I'm sure we'll find out in just a second. Oh, I added the ladybugs because she's outside, and then there were ladybugs out there. And I thought, when else will I use these ladybugs? So it was just the perfect thing for all of those elements that I sometimes have a hard time using. The lemons, the sugar packets, the ladybugs, it all worked here. I added another lemon sticker. That's what I ended up adding. So to finish this one, I am just going to tape the stitching that I had. I'm just taping it down on the back, and then I'm going to stamp the date, and this is going to be finished. I do have another layout that I created, so I'm going to come back and talk to you about that now. Oh, after I add some gold color shine. So we've gotten this in a past hip kit, but I'm just using the gold here as well.
All right, so I wanted to show you another layout that I made using those pieces. This time I used all of the smaller pieces. So I used these 4 smaller pieces, just layered them up and then stitched them down. You can kind of see it there. And then I used one of the smaller pieces that had the hot air balloons on it and cut those out. And then I put some pieces down here as well. So you can use it, you can create so that you have those large pieces. Let me grab my first layout. The large pieces like I did here, this huge piece, and then these 2 pieces, or you can use smaller pieces. So just think about what your style is and how you would create this. How you prefer to create. Do you like using larger pieces of pattern paper? Do you like using smaller pieces of pattern paper? I hope that these 2 examples show you 2 completely different ways that you can do it. So just be thinking about that when you're creating. Think about how you might switch this up for your style. And you know what? I think I want to add a couple of little something. I feel like this just needs a few enamel dots maybe here and there. I'm just going to put a couple. It's going to be really subtle because I'm going to do pink and yellow and maybe this like kind of darker orangey pink color because I love it. Anyway, so be sure to check out the hip kit.
So I really hope that you will check out all of the challenges we have going on. There's going to be new stuff posted on YouTube every hour, I believe. And then in the Facebook forum, which is just the Hip Kit Club Facebook group, which I'll link in the video description, there will be something going on every half hour, and there will be $10 gift certificates for every challenge that's going on. So you'll definitely want to go there and hang out a bit and get some of those challenges done. I will leave all of the challenge information in the video description, but I think you have until the end of day on Sunday to complete your projects. So I have a whole bunch of photos of both of these layouts here for you to take a look at, and I hope that you'll try cutting into some papers. Don't be afraid of it, just cut them up and see if you can use them as they are. I think sometimes the hardest part is just cutting into the papers, and then we can finally get going. So I hope you enjoy these detail shots, and check out hipkitclub.net to see these kits for yourself and the awesome May kits that were also just revealed. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you again soon.